Mr. President, this matter for urgent national importance is predicated on the looming constitutional crisis in Benue State, resulting from the purported removal of the Chief Judge of Benue State and calling for an urgent need for Senate intervention, and is sponsored by my humble self, Senator Emmanuel Udende, and Senator Titus Zam. Mr. President, the motion is on the fact that the State House of Assembly passed a resolution removing the state's chief judge in contravention of relevant sections of the Constitution and without the participation of the National Judicial Council. And Mr. President, a few members, like 14 of them out of the 32 members of the Benue State House of Assembly, abstained from participation on that illegality, and subsequently they were suspended. And so, Mr. President, we feel that unless there is an urgent intervention, there is the possibility of a constitutional crisis, because this issue borders on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. And so, if Mr. President indulges me, with the consent of my colleagues, I will move the motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, when the chambers was renovated, I hope the renovation will not turn us into South African Parliament, where you hear Malema, 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 sit down, Malema, sit down, Malema, sit down. And that is because we know how the electronic system ought to work. I recall that in the 8th Senate, I had almost a similar issue where seats were reallocated as a result of movements. And I also moved at that time. So when I came into the chambers, they gave me a different seat. The next day they gave me a different seat. The third day they gave me a different seat. So I also voiced out my anger. And I said, what is going on here? And then the Senate President was able to control. So everything I said did not get out to the public. And so social media had nothing to feast on. So unfortunately, we need to go back to our old microphone system so that people will not speak out of order and then speak when they are not recognized. So I apologize on behalf of the contractor who did this. Now, the distinguished Senator Abba Moro actually mentioned this issue because we are not the judiciary. But he said that it's something that is capable of bringing crisis to the government and the people of Benue State. So I think is it the view of the Senate that he be allowed to proceed with the motion under Order 41 and 51? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator, I didn't hear your voice. So you may proceed later.
If I'm to cite an order, I will cite a constitutional order, which is Section 1 of our Constitution, especially 1.3. The Constitution clearly defines the roles of the three arms of government. And one arm cannot take over the job of the other. So the basis of my observation is actually to ask the distinguished minority leader to please also inform us before going to this, if this matter is already in court, because this is a very sensitive matter, and we have to be sure that the removed Chief Judge of Benue has not already proceeded to court. If this matter is sub judice, then we are not in a position to entertain this.
Yes, I think that's observation. Your Abba Moro, is this matter already in court?
No.
No, none of the parties.
It's not in court. As a matter of fact, this thing took place yesterday, and so it's not in court.
To your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge. It's not in court.
So is it the view of the Senate that it be allowed to proceed?
Yes.
Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it, so you may proceed.
This motion is sponsored by 3 or 4 senators from Benue State across the aisle. And so I proceed. The Senate knows that the National Assembly, amongst other things, has a responsibility as the highest lawmaking body in Nigeria to protect and preserve the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to ensure compliance, prevent violations, and ensuring the Constitution remains the supreme law of the land. The Senate knows further that there is a looming constitutional crisis currently in Benue State, and if not nipped in the bud, may spring to become a great threat to democracy and rule of law in the entire country. The said crisis stems from the purported removal of Justice Akpabio, the Chief Judge of Benue State, by the State House of Assembly without having recourse to the tenets of the law. The Senate knows further that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, states explicitly in Section 153 and 271 that the National Judicial Council is the only body that authorizes the appointment and removal of state chief judges, and the Constitution in the said sections goes further to state the procedures for appointment and removal of state judges, and anything outside the provisions of the Constitution is a direct affront to the Constitution and a danger to democracy. Note lastly that Section 292(1)(a) of the aforementioned Constitution expressly provides for the step-by-step procedure for the removal of the state chief judges. However, the Benue State House of Assembly, with either ignorance of what the law says or with intention to make a caricature of our ground norm, the Constitution, went ahead to sit and pass a resolution just by themselves purporting to have removed the Chief Judge of Benue State, a resolution that brings a great insult to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and if not reversed, may lead to abuse of the powerful document that provides for the entire country. The Senate accordingly resolves, 1, to urge the National Judicial Council to immediately step in and nip the looming crisis in the bud and take steps to rescind the illegal and unconstitutional resolution purportedly removing Justice Akpabio, the Chief Judge of Benue State. 2, invite the Speaker and the Majority Leader of the Benue State House of Assembly to explain the circumstances of their illegal actions. And 3, urge the National Assembly to carry out its constitutional duty under Section 11(4) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, to take over the affairs of the Benue State House of Assembly in view of the demonstrable act of incompetence by the section of the House of Assembly to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria if they fail to appear or fail to rescind the purported removal of Justice Akpabio or avoidable suspension of some members of the Benue State House of Assembly who refuse to participate in the illegality of removing the State Chief Judge. We so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Zam.
And I rise to support the motion moved by distinguished Senator Abba Moro. I so second, distinguished colleagues. Thank you.
You don't have anything to urge in favor of the motion. You have seconded the motion. You are from Benue State. So if you have more clarification that will guide the Senate, you can go ahead.
Yes. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, as it has been elucidatively explained in this motion, yesterday, the members of the State House of Assembly went to work, and suddenly, the majority leader read a letter purporting to have come from the Office of Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Benue State, averring that the Chief Judge of Benue State had committed some infractions that, in their judgment, required that he be removed. While the letter was read, members of the State House of Assembly were divided. Benue State has 32 members. In the sitting of yesterday, only 31 attended. So the House was divided. 14 members of the State House of Assembly objected and voted against the removal of Justice Morris, the Chief Judge of Benue State. While the House was divided, the presiding officer, the Speaker, asked his clerk to stand up and count those that were in favor of the removal and those against, as it is the practice in all assemblies. Because apparently they were acting a script, the clerk of the State House of Assembly started counting. He counted and arrived at a figure that was different from the people that were in the assembly. He said 23 of the House of Assembly members voted in favor of the removal of the Chief Justice. Meanwhile, in the sitting, there were only 31 members. So 14 members of the House of Assembly objected to this. So if you subtract 14 members from 31, you will arrive at 18 members. 17. So where the clerk got 23 members supporting that removal remains a mirage. It does appear clearly that it was a predetermined thing that did not follow any due process. So these 14 House of Assembly members objected to this, and they protested right on the floor of the assembly. They were overruled. They left the chambers, went out and did a press conference distancing themselves from this illegality. And later in the day, the assembly convened and suspended them for 3 months. So, as already explained in this motion, Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, there is a looming constitutional crisis in Benue State, and I urge my colleagues to quickly intervene as canvassed in the prayers of this motion. Thank you.
I stand to support this motion totally, because the action of the Benue State Assembly is authorized their powers as provided by the Constitution. Taking for granted that the suspension or removal of the Chief Judge has emanated from NJC as provided by the Constitution. What is required is to take majority of the Benue State Assembly. 17 members cannot be tweeted of the majority. 32 members or 31 members that were present to take majority is 22 members. So what they did was completely ultra-vires. And to suspend the other members without hearing them is a breach of the Constitution. So as of yesterday, dogs took over Benue State Assembly and the premises of the State High Court. And so the 14 members were not even allowed into the premises. So if this assembly slips by and watch without taking action, so there will be a breach of democracy in Benue State. This morning we woke up, the assembly, the premises of the High Court have been blocked by trips of sharp sand. So this assembly, I urge my colleagues to support this motion and to ensure that there is decorum back in Benue State. I so support.
Is that this issue just happened yesterday, and between yesterday and this morning, I can imagine a flurry of activities must have happened. So, so we may not be privy to those things. Yes, please, distinguished Senator Dixon.
Thank you very much.
Oh, but
Henry Seraki Dixon.
bear in mind that the National Judicial Council has issued a statement on this.
Exactly. So, Henry Seraki Dixon Fall join our colleagues, and I don't think there's anyone in the chamber who is not concerned if there is a flagrant violation of the Constitution, or there's an attempt to disrupt the course of justice as stated, provided by the Constitution, in the way and manner that we are hearing, both from the motion and from the news making rounds. In spite of that concern, I just wanted to draw attention to what you have already said, SP, the Mr. Senate President, which is that yesterday, from all the news channels, clearly today, the National Judicial Council yesterday sat and took a decision and made it public, making it clear that it is their constitutional responsibility to sanction a serving member of the bench, and in any case, to begin the process of removing the chief judge of Benue State or of any other state. They have already done so. They have already done so. I read a statement also from the Nigerian Bar Association condemning what is going on, the purported removal of the chief judge of Benue State. So I feel that at this point in time, and this is a developing scenario, it's a developing situation. So I feel that the motion that has been brought by our very distinguished and respected colleagues shows concern, which we all associate with. But the prayers, for me, we should express concern about what is going on. In Benue, nobody, no governor, no House of Assembly, no other political player or institution should be allowed to disrupt the constitutional order provided as to how a judge of the chief judge of a state can be removed. The powers are vested clearly by the Constitution on the NJC. So my take is that we can understand, because our political players from Benue, we know what is going on, we are following what is happening. They are political players. We may not be helping the situation if we take actions that will exacerbate it. We should, in my view, condemn the purported violation of the Constitution and make it clear that by our Constitution, only the NJC has the jurisdiction to do so, not the Benue House of Assembly, number one. And then we get a referral to our committee on judiciary, human rights, for appropriate follow-up action. But for us to now, as the motion is suggesting, they know more, the movers know more of the situation. But for us to now summon the presiding officers of a House of Assembly and then take over or purport to take over the legislative powers and functions of the Benue State House of Assembly, my dear colleagues, we may not be helping the situation. We may not be helping the situation. So I feel we should express concern, condemn any infraction of the Constitution in the way and manner that has been stated, then support the NJC's position, and then cause a referral to our committee, ably led by our senior advocate, who will know what to do on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Distinguished colleague, what the distinguished Senator Dixon has said, and for even the information available to us here, that the body that is constitutionally mandated to discipline judges has already condemned the action and issued a statement. What should concern us should now be the further action of the House of Assembly of Benue State, which tended to punish members who did not agree with the decision. This is a democracy. It's not everybody that must agree with the decision of the majority. The majority can have its way, but the minority should have its say, which is the suspension. So I think we should go into the prayers so that we can also urge the Speaker and the remaining members who may be in the majority to recall their colleagues that they said had been suspended as a result of this imbroglio. I think that will be a better way of handling it, why we now refer it to our committee. So let's take the prayers. Prayer 1, urge the National Judicial Council to immediately take steps to nip in the bud the looming crisis in Benue State, and further take steps to rescind the illegal and unconstitutional resolution purportedly passed, removing the Chief Justice Maurice Akpabio as Chief Judge of Benue State, following a letter from the Attorney General of the state. Amendment. Yes, dismissed Senator Ndubweze.
President, my name is Senator Patrick Ndubweze, representing Imo North. My amendment based on the fact that the judicial NJC have made statement on this. So I'm of the opinion, urge the National Judicial Council to immediately take steps to resolve this judicial crisis in Benue State according to the provisions of the law establishing Judicial Council. We are not to tell them whether to rescind or to sack, but to tell them to do their job. That's my own amendment.
Distinguished colleagues, prayer 1 is amended to say that we should urge the National Judicial Council to take further steps to resolve the purported removal of the Chief Judge of Benue State in tandem with the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution as soon as practicable. Those in support of prayer 1 as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, invite the Speaker and the Majority Leader of the Benue State House of Assembly well, from here it says to explain the circumstances of their illegal action. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Prayer 3, urge the National Assembly to carry out its constitutional duty under Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, taking over the affairs of the Benue State House of Assembly in view of the demonstrable act of incompetence by a section of the House of Assembly to defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. If they fail to appear or fail to rescind the purported removal of Justice Maurice Akpabio or avoidable suspension of some members of the Benue State House of Assembly who refuse to participate in the illegality of removing the State Chief Judge. This is what I have here. Those in support of this prayer as couched say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it. Any additional prayer? Yes, this Senator Isonaso.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do mandate the Committee on Judiciary to follow up this matter and report back to Senate within 2 weeks. I so move, Mr. President.
Any seconder? And seconded by my in-law, the Swiss Senator Ezenwa, that we should refer this matter to our Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters to investigate same and report back to the Senate within 2 weeks. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me thank distinguished Senator Abba Moro for the non-partisan approach to this issue. Because Benue State is an APC state, and you are the minority leader from PDP, But you can see that you have support from your APC counterparts from Benue State, which means all of you are working together for the interests of Benue State and Nigeria. I think that bipartisan approach is something that the Senate must commend. And at the same time, I also thank you for your concern about the possibility of the crisis degenerating into violence. And I believe strongly that with the resolutions of the Senate backing the NJC, condemning what has just taken place in Benue State, and further referring the matter to its Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters to do further investigation and revert to the Senate for further legislative action, that I think we are in the right track. So I thank you, and I do pray that even before the chairman and members of this committee go into work, that the issue would have been resolved in the national interest. Yes. Any other point of order? Any other point of order? Yes. OGD. Distinguished Senator Benga Daniels.
Thank you very